welcome to Cult Macabre, a phantasmagoric guide to pop culture's dark side. I'm Lee.
And I'm Richie.
And today we are going to be talking about probably the most famous cryptid, and more than likely everybody's first cryptid. I feel like I can confidently say that, at least in America, Bigfoot, aka Sasquatch, which is most commonly reported in the Pacific Northwest area.
Do you want to know the first time I heard of Bigfoot?
I absolutely do.
When Pizza Hut was running their Bigfoot pizza special back in the 90s. I'm fat, ladies and gentlemen out there. I'm just kidding. That is one of the first times I heard. I was like, "What's Bigfoot?" And then I was a kid, and then there were movies like Harry and the Hendersons that were out, and then of course it's not this, but like King Kong is like kind of like what everybody thinks about in terms of like whenever you think of a Bigfoot, you think of almost like a gorilla looking humanoid. And most famously, Bigfoot has been lampooned in like the Jack Link's beef jerky commercials. Like Bigfoot is a pop culture icon aside from just being a very legendary cryptid, which I think is really neat when you start discussing things about this creature.
And that has definitely spanned across so much different media, movies, games. There's been, music referencing Bigfoot and stuff like that. And it's spanned outside of the country as well. Even areas that you wouldn't expect to hear about sightings of Bigfoot are out there. Like Florida, for example, which I guess they sometimes reference the Sasquatch as the skunk ape down in Florida, but Florida is like probably consistently in the top 5 states that report sightings.
Dude, Sasquatch is just Florida man sometimes.
It's just a dude. It's just a resident. He's worn his dirty ass ghillie suit for way too long.
Just pushing a shopping cart full of bullshit around, getting into trouble,
doing bath salts.
Yeah,
just a regular day.
Yeah, he puts the sass in Sasquatch. But yeah, Bigfoot is a huge icon here in America and Canadian as well. He's a Canadian icon, like folklore-wise, and became its own subculture, truly. I mean, there's a lot of like pseudoscience with like cryptozoology, and there's a lot of like hoaxes, sightings, there are jokes, there are stories, there are creepypastas, there are all kinds of things about this character. Some of my favorite things to do whenever, because like our friend Devin, who is a humongous Bigfoot enthusiast, he's called me several times like, "Did you want to go hunt Bigfoot?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I want to go hunt for Bigfoot." Like, how many times have you seen a purported sighting on the internet? Like, people are like claiming, here's Bigfoot. And this goes all the way back. There's like a famous photograph from 1967, and it's probably one of the most, quote, clear sightings of Bigfoot ever. That Patterson Gremlin film, like they were saying, this is a female Bigfoot. But like nobody has actually like grabbed a hold of like a body. I mean, I remember reading somewhere that there was a sighting in the Pacific Northwest, and then before they could like get the body, like the government came in and took it. And then there's like theories about Bigfoot being extraterrestrial and shit like that. There's all kinds of stuff.
Oh yes, I've seen a little bit of everything. When we were doing research for this episode, and even just like watching videos of my own personal interest or whatever, there are legitimate people out there who are educated historians and everything, and like even scientists of biology and all sorts of shit that really do believe that the government is holding a Bigfoot. Bigfoot is an alien, or Bigfoot is its own primate human species. There are groups of people, research scientists, that will go to areas of Bigfoot sightings and conduct what they call eDNA research, which is environmental DNA.
AKA Edna.
Right. And they actually, so there's bits and pieces that they run that they find that come up as unidentified primate, unidentified humanoid, stuff like that. And they find these chunks of DNA and they attribute that to the Bigfoot sighting in the area. And apparently this kind of stuff is able to be found even like days, weeks, months after the fact, especially if there are multiple sightings. If they're residing in the area, there's going to be like, eaten food remains and dung and urine and all sorts of shit. So it's wild, the reaches of some of these people.
I guess you could say in a roundabout way, as far as people are concerned with like, how big is Bigfoot, things like that. A lot of people suggest that it's anywhere from like 6 feet to like 15 feet tall.
15 feet.
Yeah, that its foot goes as large as like 2 feet, basically like 24 inches.
Yeah, and it's one of the most popular forms of like quote data collected on Bigfoot have been casts of footprints in, mud, dirt, silt, soil, whatever. One of the very first pieces of evidence collected outside of, that film bit in 1967 was a cast from, I think it was like a group of like loggers or something like that in the area that found it and thought, this is weird. I have some plaster on hand. I'm going to go ahead and take a mold of this. And then I think shortly after that, it ended up in the news and it kind of spiraled from there.
It's been around for so long. It's been around for like well over like 100 years at least, but it's got all kinds of terms. Like it's not just Bigfoot. There's Sasquatch. They even have the Yeti. Like the Yeti is like a form of Bigfoot. The Yowie, like you mentioned earlier, the skunk ape.
That's the ice type Sasquatch.
Yeah, ice squatch. Yeah, the Yeti is the abominable snowman. You know what I mean? Like that is the Asian Bigfoot, and that's the Himalayas, and then it's like Nepal, Tibet, Russia, India, like all these areas, because there are sightings of this thing as far back as 1832.
Wow.
Yeah, so it goes back for fucking ever, man. And we're mostly here to just kind of broad talk, because that is such a huge history to get into. And the fact that Bigfoot has its own subcategories of different types of Sasquatch or, what have you, you could spend days, weeks, months. People have spent years gathering research and exploring for this creature. But a lot of the most famous ones at least that we know about, were here in the United States and like California, Pacific Northwest, heavily wooded areas, obviously. The Six Rivers National Forest is like one of the places here in America, and I think it was like Humboldt County where they found it. It was like in the 50s. Like some dude was like, "Hey, I think I found a footprint." And like they went out and measured this, and they were like, "Oh, these look like human," but it's like, dude, they're huge.
They're massive, massive.
Yeah, and about as far as that guy goes, it was this logging company that this man named Jerry Crew worked at. They kept using the word Bigfoot to talk about like what was leaving these footprints behind, which is where that term had come from. Supposedly they had believed somebody was pranking them or whatever, but then they contacted the local newspaper and they interviewed the workers. They wrote a bunch of articles, and that's where like Bigfoot was put in print. And like you mentioned, they were doing like plaster casts of all this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were holding, in fact, like in October of 1958 on that newspaper, they were holding one of the casts on the front page of the newspaper, and it went to like the New York Times and the LA Times, and that's how it kind of spread as far as like this creature being on the West Coast here in the States. But in 2002, the family of Jerry Crew's co-worker, Ray Wallace, revealed a collection of these carved wooden feet that were stored in his basement, and the family stated that Wallace had been secretly making these footprints and is responsible for the tracks that was discovered back in the 50s.
Oh, that would be interesting. That's crazy to think that it could be a hoax, because I know there are a lot of believers out there, and I myself am a fence setter when it comes to that particular thing. But like, this all stemmed into groups being created specifically to research this creature and take it seriously. Like the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, or BFRO, that's its own group of people, and they keep track of every single sighting, and they investigate all the, evidence and everything like that. And it sucks to think that people putting that much time and that much effort into this particular cryptid could be proven wrong with something so simple and so silly. What is it? Occam's razor? Mm-hmm. The most likely explanation is probably the explanation.
It's just some asshole sitting in his basement with these plaster molded huge feet just going, just
got him.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it's crazy because, like, okay, just in Washington state alone where this, it originated, but there have been over 700 recorded sightings of this creature. So what would you call that? Mass hysteria at that point?
Okay, if it's mass hysteria, then is there proof? Like, if people have pictures of this shit, right? If they're all different photos and it's not the same photo being spread around by like one person takes it and just spread it around. If multiple people are taking photos of this, or they have what they consider to be evidence, is it really mass hysteria, or is it like 700 people can't be fucking wrong?
Sure. Yeah, that's the other side of it. Absolutely. Like that's quite a large amount. And they're spread pretty far and wide. Washington's a pretty large state. It trickles into Oregon, California, any of those Northwest states, and into Canada. Like, ooh, I mean, speaking of the reach of that, even just recently in March of this year, there were 6 back-to-back sightings of Bigfoot in Ohio. Across 5 days. Like, that's nuts. 6 is not enough for me to really consider that mass hysteria. But all these people reported something extremely similar. You know, it started with seeing this gigantic shadow of this very shaggy, hairy something or other. Like, all these people can't be wrong, and they couldn't all have heard from each other about this thing in the area. Like, it's wild, man.
It is wild because it's outdoors.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Feral, even.
You're welcome for that. I mean, think about it this way. If I'll just put it in perspective for, you know, people that are listening out there, you know, just some food for thought here. And I'm sure most people that are listening to this probably have had this thought, but think about how huge the world is. Like, how much of this world, like, we have GPS, we have satellite, we have all kinds of shit that we can like spelunk with, like, and see crevices in this fucking globe. Think about how much we do not actually see, though. Think about how far underwater we can't go because literally there's too much pressure and it would crush everything. Or there's just spots in the forest way the fuck out in BFE in the furthest corners. They don't even have like people living near, you know, thousands of miles from that we just don't explore. Like, what's out there?
Yeah.
It can't, there's like, I don't think that this creature as we are depicting it may not exist in that form, but maybe there is a creature out there that we just don't know about because I can't remember what it is. And I feel really dumb for getting it off the top of my head, but I was watching this nature documentary recently. And it was this creature that they just discovered. Like, it was like a species of like some kind of like some small animal in the forest that was just going under our noses for like hundreds of years. That's been alive and well and fully populated. And they just discovered this in the last decade or some shit.
See, that's exactly where most of my belief rests. Is my deepest belief is there is no fucking way that we have explored every inch of this planet. It's just not possible.
No.
And with how things, you know, adapt, you know, yay Darwinism, there is a complete possibility that there are creatures out there that have adapted so well to the environments that they're hiding in that we are unable to locate them for the most part. And like you said, we're discovering new species all the time. You know, and there's a lot of talk about, like, you know, the missing link. Maybe these creatures are the missing link, but whatever they're doing it really fucking well to stay the hell away from us for the most part. Only 700 sightings in one state, but you know.
Yeah. You want to hear something really fun? You know, there is a Bigfoot, Texas.
Like a city named Bigfoot, Texas?
It's an unincorporated community, and it's named literally after the cryptid Bigfoot.
That's fantastic. I want to visit that place.
It's got a population of 480 as of
tiny.
2020.
That's so tiny. I love those itty bitty towns, though. Those middle of nowhere places. They always have the best food. I wonder what they eat in Bigfoot, Texas.
Jack Link's beef jerky. I mean, there's only a population of 400. They can't possibly be, like, well-fed. But that is a real town. It's named after the creature, but it's named after also William A. Wallace, who was a famous 19th century Texas Ranger. They nicknamed him Bigfoot due to his foot size, like his legitimate foot size.
Sure.
It's a town that's named after him, but, like, that's where his name had come from. So it's kind of neat, actually, like how that goes full circle. But there are a lot of sightings that have happened here in the United States. And a lot of different names for these creatures. Like we were mentioning earlier, like the skunk ape, they call it that in Florida. They call it the hillbilly beast in Kentucky.
The hillbilly beast.
Yeah, the grassman in Ohio. That's what they call Bigfoot in Ohio, is the grassman. The wood booger in Virginia.
Wood booger.
Yep.
I like that one.
The Honey Island swamp monster here in Louisiana.
I have heard that.
They call it Momo in Missouri, the Dewey Lake Monster in Michigan. I mean, the list freaking goes on. There's so many names for this creature, but Bigfoot is universally the most well-known name. There's so many groups, like we've also mentioned, you know, that dedicate their lives to hunting for this thing. I wonder how many of these people have actually, like, they're like, oh, we're not just going to explore. We're going out with, like, tranquilizers. We're going to catch us a Bigfoot. And I wonder how many people have accidentally Dick Cheney'd somebody in the fucking woods trying to get this bastard.
There have been deaths related to Bigfoot, believe it or not.
Oh,
There was this dude in Oklahoma a few years back. I want to say it was like 2021, 2022-ish. He actually killed his friend because he thought his friend had summoned Bigfoot. And that he was going to be sacrificed to the creature.
But he got sacrificed to his friend instead.
That's sacrificed.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's really rough. And I'm sure there was probably more than likely some mental illness at play into that one.
Fuck,
but
dude.
holy cow, man. And there's been like especially around the Appalachian Mountain area, there's been a lot of reported disappearances and whatnot. A few specific towns that have like really high crime rates. There is also an area where there were a lot of marijuana farms. And in order to scare away other people, like in competition to grow in the same area, they spread a bunch of rumors about Bigfoot kidnapping and killing people. Yeah, so people will definitely use that to their advantage 100%.
Okay, now I just want to see a stoner comedy where it's kind of like Evil Bong, but it's Bigfoot. I want to see a plant farm where Bigfoot is the security. You could call it Sasquatch security or some bullshit.
Jesus.
Yeah, it could be Bigfoot Blunt Boy or, some dumb shit, man.
Sour Diesel Sasquatch.
That's even better. I like that. That's so much fucking better than my stupid ass titles. Fuck me. Could you imagine, though?
I can imagine a very funny, like, comedy where there's a bunch of fucking teenagers smoking weed, and then it like, the smell travels into the woods and summons a Sasquatch to the fucking area, and the Sasquatch has to kill everybody to steal their fucking weed because it's just too good.
Fucking Kush Squatch? Like,
Kush Squatch. Oh my
Bro,
God.
gonna give them the fucking Bigfoot beatdown of their life, like just straight up.
Fuck.
You want the smoke? Bigfoot rolls out and just kicks the shit out of you. Damn, man, though, like that dude, that fucking killed that guy.
Yeah, that's rough. I'm sure there was I haven't gotten too heavy into that story. I'd like to look more into it.
Sure,
because I only recently heard about that one.
Sure, but I'm sitting here like, holy fuck, I was just making a bit out of the whole Dick Cheney thing, really, because that stupid motherfucker.
No, this really happened.
God damn it!
Surprise. I'm really curious if anybody we know or any of our listeners have had any experiences with Bigfoot. We have gotten some feedback about other cryptids, which I found super exciting and interesting. But if any of y'all have traveled anywhere and have had an experience, or you know someone who's had an experience, you got any photographic anything, love to see it, love to hear it.
Yeah, just let us know if you're following us at The Cult Macabre on our Instagram channel, or if you're following us on Facebook and you see this episode post, leave us some photos or leave us your story. Hell, if any of you out there are actually like on a Bigfoot research team.
I did live in Washington State for a while, and I did really get into Bigfoot while I was there because it's hard to avoid. When I tell you, flying in to the airport, and as soon as you get off the plane, you immediately see a gigantic gift shop that is all Bigfoot stuff in the airport. You know you're in the right spot for
Is that like
shit.
when you come to Texas and you see nothing but Whataburger everywhere?
Yeah, we're flying into Cincinnati, Ohio, and all you see is Skyline Chili and Gold Star cans in all the gift shops. The temptation to bring those back from my travels is always very strong.
Jesus Christ. I don't know. Maybe when we travel here soon, we should look for some Bigfoot stuff.
Come back with my own casting, an audio recording of him screaming at me in the woods.
Give me back my beef jerky, you bitch. For some shit. I don't know. There's like so much more stuff out there if you want to dig. A ton of documentaries out there on, I know HBO Max has some documentaries. I know Amazon Prime, I think, has some documentaries. But again, if you've had a Bigfoot sighting yourself, leave us a comment. If you just wish you would see Bigfoot, if you want to encounter this guy, leave us a comment.
Hell, even if you got a strong opinion one way or another, I'm here for it.
Same. For past, present, and future episodes of Cult Macabre, you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. You can leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. You can leave us a rating and leave comments on individual episodes on Spotify. And if you're listening to this episode on our YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to the channel, clicking the bell for notifications for future episodes, leaving us a like on this video, or leaving a comment down below. Any engagement helps. And if you would like to follow us on any of our social media platforms, all of this information can be found in our Linktree link in the show notes below.
So if you'd like to join us for more of pop culture's dark side, sign the black book and join the cult. I'm Lee.
And I'm Richie.
And we'll see you next time.